Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is the front page with Bob Case, and I'm Harper LaBelle, and today we have an incredibly special guest. Rarely do we find someone with a gold jacket, but a friend of Bob's, been a friend for decades. And Bob, I want to just say first, before we even start, thank you for going into your Rolodex. You didn't have to go too deep to find Ron. But I want to let you know how much we appreciate it and what a blessing to have Ron as a part of today's show.
Well, thank you for having me here. I would do anything for Bob. He's become a very important person in my life. He's one of the guys that has a lot of knowledge, and I don't know anybody that doesn't know or knows more about history of football, baseball, basketball. Nobody has a mind like Bob. I don't know how he does it.
Well, with that introduction, Bob, why don't you take over?
Okay. There's a lot to tell you. See, as I've always said, I've known Ron. I met Ron in '65, and we become, he's one of my definite A-list best friends in the world. And I followed his whole career. And what I want to tell you, because I have to tell you, because one of the things I love about Ron, he's such a humble guy. I call him the humble giant. But I'm going to give you a little bit of background about him. Okay. I think he's the most decorated athlete in the history of SC. I know he is for a fact. He's in the Bellflower High School Hall of Fame. He's in the High School Hall of Fame. He's in the Rose Bowl High School Hall of Fame. He's in the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame for college. He's in the USC Hall of Fame. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He's in the NFL Hall of Fame. He's, and I'm sure he's in a lot more that I'm leaving out. And the guy has just been incredible. He came to SC when I met him in '65. He was a defensive lineman, and a lot of people don't know that. Harper does, but he was all Pac-10 or whatever it was, or Pac-8 as a defensive lineman, and they moved him to left tackle, and he was a two-time All-American. And he became a legend. He was the greatest tackle, and I've seen them all at SC, from the first lineman ever, from the guy from the Chargers that made the Hall of Fame as a lineman at SC, from Bruce Matthews to this guy to that guy. Anthony Munoz hardly played at SC because he was injured, but Ron Yary, I give him the nod over Bruce Matthews because I never saw Bruce Matthews run down the field as a left tackle and block for his running back. And the reason O.J. Simpson, who said this to my friends, broke the all-time record for rushing in 1967 is he had a guy, Ron Yary, blocking for him, okay? So it was unbelievable. I used to love to watch him because it's not just like watching two guys block. This guy could run out. And then, think about it. He's been in 8 Pro Bowls. He was in 4 Super Bowls. He was the first player in the history of the NFL draft, the first offensive lineman picked number one by the Minnesota Vikings in 1968. That's never been done before.
Yep.
So Ron's always saying, you're Bob, you're overdoing it. Yeah. And I said, well, I sent this to him. I sent this book to him because this proves it. This is a book that came out by Sports Illustrated on the history of college football. Okay, the history. This is a few years ago. Okay, it has all decade teams for every year and all that. Well, I'm going to show you. There's a painting in the book, which a lot of people have framed. It's a painting of the greatest college football players in history. Jim Thorpe, Bronco Nowinski. You could go on and on. Now, I'm going to show you the painting here. I hope I can show it to you. This is the painting, okay? With all the names of the players, and Newt Rockney's the coach, and there's only one Trojan on that team, and there's 14 Hall of Famers from SC in the NFL Hall of Fame, and there he is right there, yep. Number 77, Ron Yary, Herschel Walker, on and on and on. I'm going to read the names to you on this.
Chuck Bednarik, yeah, I see Bubba Smith. There's Tommy Nobis. There's some guys out there.
Jack Ham, Herschel Walker, Sammy Baugh, Leon Hart, Chuck Bednarik, Jerry Rice, Red Grange, Jim Brown. I mean, but this said it all. They voted on this, and he was the only Trojan voted. So I sent that to Ron because I'm tired of him saying, "Oh, I wasn't that good." Anyway, so that's a little start on the history of Ron Yary, and besides all that, one of the classiest, greatest human beings I've ever known. And I'm going to tell you a little story that he had a teammate at SC who was an All-American, also Sid Smith, and he played for the Houston Oilers. And I was at a barbecue with Sid Smith one day at SC in the Peristyle, and we're talking about Ron Yary's name came up. And Sid Smith said to me, he said, "Bobby, if I was ever in an alley, there's only one guy I want with me. Not 10 guys, not 20 guys, Ron Yary in the alley." And that said it all for me. So anyway, that's just a little rundown, and I probably missed a lot of things, which I'll think of later, but let's go ahead.
Well, born on July 16th, 1946 in Chicago. Are you a Cubs fan? Did you like the Bears when you were growing up, Ron?
I was a Dodger fan and an Angel fan locally. We moved out of Chicago when I was 4 years old, so I don't have a memory about the place, but I do remember when we were right across. We lived in a flat above a bar on Kedzie Avenue, and the trolley car station was right across the street from us on the corner. One morning I walked out with my mother, and there was two guys in a vehicle that were shot by the mafia, and they were dead, and they were leaning over, and then they blew up the bar that we were living above with a bomb. and I remember walking outside, and there was a hole in the concrete about 3 feet or 4 feet wide, and I climbed down in that hole. That's where the bomb went off when they blew the bar up. And so it was a tough neighborhood. They really meant what they said there.
No kidding. Wow, I didn't know that. So you're 4 years old when you move, and when are bombs exploding right next to your home?
Yes. Yeah, one went off to blow up the bar because the guy apparently wasn't paying his percentage to the guys. Yeah. And I remember the guys across the street with their head on the steering wheel dead.
Oh,
Tough neighborhood.
Yeah, no kidding. I was going to ask you whether you played wiffle ball, or they didn't have Nerf footballs back then, but you know what your early life was like, and you're playing with Tommy guns. I'm teasing, you're not, but in your neighborhood, goodness gracious.
Yeah, it was a tough neighborhood.
When did sports become an important part of your life, Ron?
When I started playing Little League baseball, I was about 8 years old. I loved it, and I was a first baseman. If I had I not played football, I probably would have focused on baseball. I was a better baseball player, really, than I was a football player.
Did you have a 27-ounce Hillerich and Bradsby wooden bat back in those days? They didn't make any of those aluminum things. You had the real McCoy. They
had the real bats. Yes, I never read the names, but it was the ounce. I had a 32-ounce bat. I remember. I used a 32-ounce bat. That's my life in Little League. So I loved that. I was a first baseman. I made all league, and I should have played baseball at SC, gone on to college and played both sports, but I decided to focus on football because it was I liked the contact, I liked the collisions, and it was more my personality. You there? Did we lose you? Are they there, Bob?
Looks like here, yeah. We lost him.
We lost his connection.
He froze up.
So see if he comes back.
Oh, he'll come back, I'm sure.
So anyways, I probably should have played baseball at SC.
Did Rod Dato try to get you there?
No, Rod never had to recruit, really.
Yeah.
Everybody in baseball would want to play baseball at SC.
Right.
There's nobody.
Harper's back.
You there? Not for me.
No, he's not talking. I saw I saw some.
Can you hear me? A little bit about.
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Is this live?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, yes, it's better to see me sitting here like this than listening to me.
Yeah.
So can't believe how old I've gotten. Man,
you look good, Ron. You look good.
Oh, man.
You got all your hair.
It's white. It's gone past gray to white now.
Yeah.
So
Well, now I guess we'll just continue the interview. So, Ron, let me tell you, what was it like playing for John McKay?
John was very aloof as a coach. He didn't talk to the players hardly at all. And when he did, he used a microphone up on a big platform that was 30 feet in the air. And he would scream. So if you didn't want John McKay talking to you, because it meant you weren't doing well.
Right.
He only talked to us when we were not living up to our expectation. So
you said he didn't even say hi to you walking on the campus, right?
You're exactly right. He'd be walking in one direction, and I'd be walking the opposite, and he wouldn't even acknowledge me.
Wow.
Hi, Ron. So we'd walk by each other.
Yeah.
You there?
So, Ron, did you start every game as a sophomore at SC?
Yes, but I was a defensive tackle.
I know.
Yeah.
And then who moved you to left tackle?
Well, they were going to play me both ways, I was told.
Yeah.
Offense and defense. I was first string offense as a sophomore both ways, but they didn't play me both ways. They played me a defensive end my sophomore year.
Well, whose idea was it to make you a tackle?
I heard Dave Levy and Marv Goo argued about the position, and because of OJ in the backfield,
right,
the offensive tackle. They had Mike Garrett there my freshman year, our sophomore year, and then I think Don McCall was our running back.
Running back. He was a good running back. I remember.
He was good, and then senior year they brought in OJ.
Yeah.
But if I'd been there today, Bob, I would have walked into this room. I would have told them, you either play me both ways, or I'm going to find a school that will take me both ways. I wouldn't have accepted it. I wanted to play both ways, but I was too shy and too quiet.
Right.
But I got defensive lineman of the year in the Pac-8 my sophomore year.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, they gave me defensive lineman of the year.
Wow. So, Harper, are you with us?
I am. I'm listening. I'm catching up a little bit. Yeah.
One
of the things that I wanted to ask Ron yeah, absolutely. Ron, do you recognize this photo? Is this early on? You had the crew cut going on, but it's pretty obvious that.
Yes, I do. He told me to make a mean looking face. The guy said, make a face that was mean looking. So that's my mean face.
Well, and you took a defensive number, is that right? The 77. That's more of what the defensive linemen were doing back in those days. So defense was your first love. Is that correct?
I would have preferred playing defense, yes, over offensive tackle, yes. But you didn't argue with the coaches back then. You did what they would ask you to do. There's no discussion. And I was happy to play either way. I just wanted to be on the field.
Well, I found this picture, if you don't mind me showing this. You mentioned Marv Goo, and Dave Levy's in the upper right. He's not all the way to the right, but he's one of the ones standing. And these guys are all sitting around the kneeling coach. This was part of the time that you were there. Really good coaching staff. What would you say is a compliment for what they were able to find in you that you were able to transfer over into the NFL?
That was not a good coaching staff. That was a great coaching staff. All those coaches loved USC. If you're going to be a good coach, you have to really love the school you're coaching for. And that presented itself when they would talk to you. They were very proud to be a coach at SC. And most of these guys on that staff, a lot of Mark Goo went to college there. Mike Giddings He was our linebacker coach. He played at Cal, but he was a true blue Trojan guy. Okay, so all those coaches were emotionally attached to the school, which made the players follow the same thing. It was a great time to play football there at SC, and that was a great staff. God, I can't believe what great guys they were.
Marv Lovey was loved up by everybody, right, Ron?
Yes, well, all of them were. They made the game. They made the game. You worked hard, but you loved it, and you would laugh. You had it. It was a good time to work hard. They made it fun to work hard. They knew how to. They took the game seriously, but they also made it fun and enjoyable for a college kid. They knew how to communicate. You can't find a staff as good as that one.
Now, John had come from Oregon. Were any of these guys a part of the Oregon staff, or did he kind of build them together once he got to SC and kind of filter out the differences between his Oregon staff that he had success with and what he was trying to build with the Trojans?
I think it was a clean slate with him. He started from scratch with all those coaches.
Okay.
I don't think he brought anybody down with him. I wouldn't know that, but all these guys came from other colleges in the Pac-10. But Marv was the leader, you might want to say, of the assistant coaches. And I think he left the school and went to the Rams because they didn't make him into the head coach. They picked John
Robinson
to be the head coach over Marv. And I think
was Al Davis there at any point? Because I know he was with the Trojans. I think he was running back coach for 1 year, and then he went back to the
1960. That was 1960.
Okay, that was way too early. I'm sorry. That's much prior to you. For obvious reasons, that didn't apply.
Correct. He was there before me.
Well, one of the things I wanted to do is bring up this. Back in the 60s with the diamonds in the end zone, was there anything that impressed you about the Coliseum and the history with the 32 Olympics and the Rams playing there, and obviously with the Trojans? First time, I imagine they took you to a game during your recruiting trip. What was that like for you?
Yes, I went to the Notre Dame USC game.
Oh, is that all?
Exactly. I was sitting in the end zone, and it didn't impress. I was not impressed with the crowd. I didn't look at the crowd. I looked at the players on the field, and when we were in the tunnel, when they ran by, I was watching the players, and it was the players that impressed me. I wanted to play with the best and against the best, and that's how I made my decision. It wasn't the crowd. It wasn't the ambiance of the school. It was basically how good were the players. And that's the sole reason I went to SC, because I looked at these guys and they all were very serious about the game. They were all good football players, and I wanted to play with the best, period. That easy.
Who else was interested in you, Ron? Did you take trips to other campuses?
No, I didn't. I didn't go anywhere else except the spring ball game for USC. That was it. I didn't go to. No, let me correct that. I went to the University of Colorado. That's right. They flew me back to Colorado, and I was on the field during their practice, and I watched guys hitting each other, and I was not impressed with the impact that they were having. The collisions weren't what I wanted or what I expected, and the collisions between players at SC was the impact was a higher level of contact. So I based my decision on that.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Some people would enjoy practicing lighter. You saw early on, no, they got to get after it. I'm a little younger than you, and I'm not saying this to be disrespectful, but I remember watching some of the early one of the things that turned me on to SC is I got to go to the 73 Rose Bowl. And when I saw the speed and the low center of gravity of the offensive lineman going against it, whether it be Ohio State or a couple years later, it would be Michigan. Now you're already gone by that time. Their ability to hit full speed and get their second foot in the ground, it just amazed me. And I'm imagining that that's part of Levy and Goo and the whole staff obviously your offensive line coach specifically. Can you share anything about what a difference they made for you in terms of getting you to motivate yourself to be better than you've ever been before?
Well, what you're talking about is explosion off the ball. You have to get on the defensive man before he can get up. So the sooner you explode off the ball and you get on him, the more control you have over the defensive lineman.
Yep.
So they worked on coming off on the ball very hard because they wanted the offensive guy to be in the sternum of the defensive guy just as he was moving. So we came off on the ball fast and hard, and we ran the ball back then 68% of the time at least.
Sure. Yep.
So the heavy duty running game, and that was what SC was known for. And they also had great halfbacks. So it worked out, and it was I preferred running the ball anyway. I thought that pass blocking was a soft way to play the game, and throwing the ball was a not a good way to win a game. To me, it was how well you run a ball against your opponent. Passing was a lack of talent way of winning a game. Throwing the ball was not the way to win. If you had to rely on a quarterback completing passes to win a game, I wouldn't want to play for that team. Now that changed over the years when I was in the NFL.
Sure.
That became as important as running the ball. You had to have a balanced attack. But when I was at SC, it was an insult to throw the ball.
Yeah. We're going to run, and then we're going to run some more, and then we're going to run some more, and we'll throw when we're doggone ready to throw.
Yeah, we'll
the picture on the left here, the color photo against UCLA. Yeah. This is one of the few photos that I was able to find. There's a UCLA lineman in the left portion. You're below him, and your helmet is just hitting what is turning out to be his right knee. And he's going to be on the ground in just a second. So just above, that's 68 there, who's on the ground, the SC lineman. And just above, excuse my expression, but right above his hip, that's your head. And I think OJ appreciated you being able to do that for him on numerous occasions. But not a whole lot of photos. A lot of him, right? There's all kind of pictures of OJ and Mike Garrett and everybody else, but not a whole heck of a lot of the offensive line except for this one. So I'm glad I was able to find this, especially a color shot.
Yeah, that was a play run to the left side, not to the right side. So we'd have a technique called a scoop, where if I was the right tackle, I'd try to scoop down on the defensive tackle who was lined up across the guard, and I would try to seal him off.
Yep.
Assuming the play.
Yep.
It was called a scoop block, and that's what that was.
In 1 year, I learned it was elephants on parade. If it's going to the other side, you want to make sure there's no gap in between you and the guy next to you, just like in the Jungle Book. So, yeah, absolutely. Hey, the year you win the national championship, and you play Indiana in the Rose Bowl. This is a pretty good schedule, if you ask me. The Pac-8, you played all 7 of those teams, but you opened up against Washington State, and then you had Texas. Then you had to go to East Lansing to play Michigan State. Home game against Stanford, and if I'm not mistaken, you might have had a freshman or a sophomore named Jim Plunkett playing for the Cardinal back then. You got to go to Notre Dame and then Washington, home against Oregon. You play at Cal and then Oregon State, and then you get UCLA at home, and then the Rose Bowl against Indiana. Were there any points during that season that you go, I think we're pretty stinking good, and everybody else is starting to believe that, and there's a chance for a national championship? Was that in the locker room? Was that something that Coach McKay wanted to kind of squelch and keep quiet? Tell me what that recollection is for you.
We never looked beyond the week we were playing as a team. We never looked to the end of the year or 2 games out in front of us. We focused on a day to day. Okay, we on Tuesday we thought about Tuesday's practice. On Wednesday's practice. On Friday the same thing. And when we got to Saturday to play the game, we just thought about our opponent all week. We didn't think 1 week ahead of us. We didn't dwell on if we lost the game last week or if we beat them 50-0. It was the great part about football is you live in the moment you're standing in.
Yeah.
That's the thing they preached at SC. You just think about today and do the best you can today, and we'll take care of tomorrow. So we didn't look that far ahead of us. We never, ever, I don't think any player ever met at SC thought we're playing UCLA in 2 weeks. We didn't think about UCLA until the week came up.
Yeah.
And that's an important aspect of this game. And every football team and every sport, I think in almost every occupation that you're in, should think about the moment you're in and not think too far ahead of yourself until that opportunity shows itself, because that's what they taught us at SC. They just focused on the next opponent, and that was it. That's what the coaching staff was great about.
Pete Carroll did a job a couple of years ago when he was with SC where he would, when interviewing, hey, what are you going to do this week? Well, we're always going to compete. Every day we go out there. And it almost as if people beforehand didn't do that. Was it like that there for you? I mean, every day you got these great All-Americans all over the field, on your team, in your locker room, in the classrooms, when you're having your meetings. And then when you go out in the practice field, you're going against a really good guy. I would imagine, a guy that should be there, especially playing for a national championship. What was every day a competitive one in the John McKay era, or is that just something that you have to assume took place during only the training camp and the first couple of weeks of practices?
No, that was a attitude and approach that was instilled into all the players during that era. You went out you took it one day at a time, but you were focused on that week and your next opponent. You didn't look down the road 2 weeks. You didn't look, sit on your heels and say, well, we just beat the last three teams, so we can take this week off. It wasn't that way at all. It was an intense practice, very intense, but we loved the school. I mean, all the players loved the USC. The student body did. You got to really like your school you're playing for.
Yeah.
And that's a great quality that SC had at that time. I don't know what it's like today, but we were proud when we went on that football field that we were USC football players representing the student body, the teachers, the administration. We were representative of them, and we were presenting them on the field. So we didn't want to let them down. We did not wish to let down the University of Southern California, top to bottom, inside and out. That's what it was all about. We were SC, and you're going to get the best of us, and it may turn out well, but we expect it to, but that's just the way it's going to be.
Well, January 1st, 1968, I got a picture here before the game starts. There's Indiana band is on the field. What was that experience like for you, Ron? Was it your first Rose Bowl?
Yes, my sophomore year, I think that was. Yes, but the Rose Bowl game was no different than the first game of the season. That's my point. We took every game, every day of our time there as the most important moment in time. You don't look ahead. You live in the moment you're in. And that moment you're in during the week, you're preparing for the next opponent. And that's all that counts. Don't look at UCLA that's at the end of the year. We're looking at Oregon State. And if you do that, you're going to get beat. We went down to Miami, and we got infatuated with Miami. And they ended up beating us, I think, 10-7, because we got sidelined. Our minds got sidelined with being in Florida. Okay, and what it was like in the weather. All the guys were outside.
Yeah.
The day before the game, looking at the ocean. We shouldn't have been doing that. And we got sidelined mentally. And so Miami took it to us. That was a game we could have won easy. But we just didn't. You're dealing with 19-year-old kids. 19-year-old kids. They're not 27-year-old guys who've been through it many, many times. So you got to, we just weren't focused.
You mentioned Mike Garrett and obviously OJ. There's some other guys that were a part of that. What was it like for you? I gained a tremendous thrill from the high school era when a running back of that nature rubs up against your hip or brushes your shoulder. And next thing you know, you're still engaged with the guy that you're blocking. He's not going to make the tackle, but you hear the crowd roar. they rise to their feet, and you just see this guy, and he's running with full speed, and next thing you know, he's either going to gain an extra 10 yards or get in the end zone, and you know that your block helped spring him to make that happen. Was that a emotion that you learned to enjoy quite often during your career?
Never thought like that.
Really?
No, never. That never entered my mind. I did not dwell on my past. I only dwelled, as I'm trying to impress here, about the next play. As soon as that play is over with, if you made 100 yards or a 1 foot, it's over with. It just the past evaporated. It disappeared. It no longer existed. It was the hunt for the next play, and that's what it was. It's your next step that counts, and you focus and put all your energy and interest and effort towards the next play.
Yeah.
Forget what you just did. You could have made the best block in the history of college football, made the greatest run, but it's over with. Forget about it. Doesn't count anymore.
And you get to reset and do it all over again once you break the huddle.
That's exactly right. Once that play is over with, the guy blows the whistle, you're back. You're going back to the huddle, and you're going to prepare for the next play. We're coming out. We're coming at you again, and that's the way it was.
Well, it sounds like the Bill Belichick in you, where after you win a Super Bowl or a Rose Bowl or a national championship, next day you wake up and you got to go back to work again. But I found this picture, this team photo. I thought you'd be in your Cardinal jerseys. Did the team, did they swap it off every other year so that one year in your home jerseys, the next year you're in the roads?
I have no idea. Those were the jerseys that were in our locker, so that's why I put them on. I was
okay.
Yeah, they're at 77. I see them in second and back row. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. I was next to Tim Rossovich, I think that was.
How about that? Hold on. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger there for you. Yeah, good group of guys, right?
Great. Everything was. You couldn't find a better school to go to college with. That was Mike Scarpace, Gary Magner, and then Dennis Bourne was to my left, and Jerry Hayhoe, I think, or Dennis Crane was next to him. It was the best time to be on a football team to play college football. You couldn't pick a better university to go to school at, and a better coaching staff, a better university than that period of time when I was at SC. I can't say one bad thing about that university, not one thing.
Yeah, your experience there, obviously, classic. And tell me about, that there are down times before a game where I know in the NFL there are guys that have a cup of coffee or they'll just hang out. But, off the field, who are the guys that you used to hang out with? You'd hang out in their dorm room or you'd be in theirs, and, just guys that you learn to love as people and as competitors, guys that you want to put in your foxhole with you.
Well, they're all right there in the same row with me at this moment. Mike Scarpace, we were best friends. We were roommates. Gary Magner, Dennis Bourne. We were a close group of guys. It didn't make any difference. We didn't think that way. If you were on the team, we were teammates. You were wherever I went, you were welcome as anybody.
Yep.
To go. I didn't differentiate in any way between any of my teammates. And
I guess you had the unique relationship with some of the defensive guys before you got moved over, as well as befriending some of the offensive linemen and different position players that you may not have had the same opportunity to be with because you weren't in the huddle with them. You were on the other side.
Well, yeah, but 99.9% of the time we were off the field. We were on the field an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. The rest of the time, we were as teammates off the field. So you spend most of your time with your teammates off the field.
Sure. Yep.
Well, and practice is only an hour and a half. You get to practice an hour before. You have team meetings. And then afterwards, you leave the campus together. So it really wasn't that way. I mean, every guy on that team was my friend. I don't care if you played or you didn't. I thought as much of the guys that never played as the guys who went into the NFL and played for 7-8 years. They all were my friends, and I cared about every single one of them. I would have gone to war with them.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
group of guys, right? And then for obvious reasons, the payout is a national championship. And I found this one as well, Ron, if you don't mind me showing. This is the All-Star game. Back in those days, they take a bunch of seniors that are about to get drafted, or rookies that are coming in, and you play against a champion team. And it used to be a Super Bowl a little bit later, but this is one of those situations where you really get highlighted. Did you have a Bob Hope show where, I know back in the early to mid 70s, he'd have the Christmas show and they'd have the All-American team on it. What was it like for you?
Yeah, that was in New York. And
Okay.
they flew all the All-Americans in, whoever they picked, to be on the Bob show. And it was, I'm 20 years old. I'm really 15 mentally. He's young. So I just went there. I had a suit on and walked out on the stage and nodded and walked off. And I went because it was an obligation. I looked at it more of an obligation to go than it was some type of a certification or something good for me. It was more an obligation to my teammates and my team in the school.
Yeah.
The druthers, I don't know if I would have gone if it wasn't for everything else. I didn't need anybody to pat me on the back. I didn't need to be applauded. Okay. When you're in that locker room and you go out on the field and you're going to go to battle, it's like going to war, and you look each other in the eyes. And when they looked in my eyes, they knew I was ready to go. I meant it. And that's all that counts. It's not what the fans think. It's not what anybody thinks. It's the guy I'm going out on that field, and I look at him. You got me for the full 60 minutes of this game.
Yep. Well,
yeah, guys would look at me, and I'd look in their eyes, and they would know that I mean business, and that's the way it is.
Hey, Harper, can I say something?
Please do, Bob. Yes.
The great Deacon Jones, who I consider the greatest defensive player in the history of football, was a dear friend of mine, and I was down at his house in Orange County with he and his wife Elizabeth, and they, like me, love German Shepherds. And Deacon would get a look on his face because I was in the locker rooms all the time. Before a game, I would look at him, and it was a glossy look that I'd never. It was almost like a tiger before he goes after his prey. You couldn't talk to him. It looked like he was on drugs. He just glossed over, okay? And that was Deacon Jones, and that's how he played the game. Now, this is what's interesting. One time I'm sitting in his living room, and I said, Deke, let me ask you something. All the years you played, does anybody stick out to you as the hardest guy to get past? May God strike me dead. Ron Yary was the toughest guy I ever played against. Deacon Jones. Now, what else can you say after that? But I just wanted to put that in there because it was an amazing thing. And, he said it publicly,
Yeah. Well, Ron, you faced David Deacon Jones on several occasions. Did he ever ear slap you and get your bell rung a few times? He was pretty good at that.
Yes, but it didn't bother me. Okay, because I have a reason for that. My brain is the size of a pea, and
yeah,
water surrounding the rest of my brain to the skull. So you could beat me on the head all you wanted, and there was no impact on me because my brain was so small. It's supposed to be funny. I would tell that to a lot of guys. They'd all laugh.
I know mine is. If yours is the size of a pea, what a BB I guess would be what most guys are.
That was the most overrated aspect of the game. A head slap. It meant nothing. I would love a guy to head slap me all day long because you couldn't really have a helmet on.
Yeah.
It's nothing more than a distraction. It would be a distraction, not a move that made an impact on you physically. Go ahead and head slap me. I got a freaking helmet on. What are you talking about? With a mask on. I'd rather have a guy do that than grab my shoulder pads and pull me down by my throat. Head slaps meant nothing.
Ron, you were part of the era that had to learn to block with your hands in by your chest, but then you got to extend them out by the time you were done. Was that an easy transition for you to be able to grab a guy underneath the shoulder pads and just hold on to that jersey just a little bit longer than normal and avoid the penalty?
Well, I got called for penalties like that, but I never had to hold. My arms, I had really very strong triceps. Okay, so when I extended my arms, the impact and the momentum in a collision, my arms would not bend, so I wouldn't give in my arms, and the guys would call me for holding when I really wasn't grabbing. I didn't have to hold, but the officials, because when the jersey would turn, because they would slide, and it would appear, and the shoulder pads would move, so they would think I'm holding the guy, but I didn't. And it made me angry, a couple of these guys, and I'd like to have met them off the field, straighten them out, because I didn't have to hold. They called me for holding. It was a joke. They were wrong. They were absolutely wrong for calling me for holding. The defensive linemen started whining about that, whining a couple of guys because they were getting blocked and they weren't able to do anything. So I could neutralize them really easy by putting my palms out there. But they accused me of holding. Nonsense.
Bob, it's a shame that Ron hasn't gotten over that yet, that he's still, there's probably a bonus in there somewhere, an extra $5,000 if he didn't have any holding penalties.
I didn't have to hold.
I love it. This picture here on the right, I picked this on specifically because you're taking a step laterally. You're going to your right, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not asking you to remember the play, but the first thing I see is your shoulders are square, your hips are square, you're moving laterally, you're trying to gain ground. There's probably a 28 toss or something like that. I'm not being, very specific with this. It's just, your technique and trusting it, I guess, Bob. Bob, that what I'm saying right here is this is coached, and this is he's learning how to do something at an earlier age that at a later age he's still able to do. Ron, tell me a little bit about, some of the influences that you had here with the Vikings. We mentioned a little bit about SC, but your understanding of, hey, this works. If I just do it this right way, I'm going to be doing this for a long time because the technique works, and my hands placement and my foot and my hip angle, my shoulders, all of that, where I put my head when I make contact with the opponent. When did you become a student of the game to where you really recognize that trusting your technique was going to make a big difference for you?
That play, the Vikings had a very complex system of offense. They had quarterbacks that could run, and they could do the option where they would fake a handoff and they're on a play pass, or they have what they call a 59 where they could run out to the sideline and throw the ball on the run. So a lot of quarterbacks can't do that, but they had Fran Tarkenton, and he was very skilled at that. So they tried to utilize his talent of being able to throw the ball on the run. So we did a lot of play action pass and what they call sprint out actions. And that play, it appears to me, it was a 59. That was the odd side of all the holes were on the right and the even were on the left. So they would call a 59, which meant that I would have to block the outside shoulder of the defensive end because Francis was going to be running to my right outside of me. He wasn't going to be throwing the ball behind me on a play pass. He was going to be throwing the ball as he was running towards the sideline. So I would go to the outside shoulder of the left defensive end. So when he turned to pursue down the line, I had him cut off. He was going to be neutralized right there where contact was. So, and it also gave Fran an open area unobstructed to throw through. He didn't have to look over the defensive end.
Yeah.
So he would be outside of my right shoulder, maybe 7-8 yards, running towards the sidelines, about anywhere between 7 to 9 yards deep. And that was a play we ran quite often. It had a lot of success too.
Yeah.
We made yards because of the play past 27 and a 59. Those two plays we ran a lot in the game.
Well, I'm going to have a little fun with you, Ron. And Joe Cap could never get out that side. Joe couldn't move. He was more of a statue. And you had him earlier in your career.
Not true. Joe
Really?
Oh, yes, he was underrated as a quarterback. He was excellent of running 59s and play passes and sprint outs and bootlegs. He was good. Joe was go getter. He couldn't run down the field for 40 yards, but getting outside and moving down the line of scrimmage, Joe was a heck of a quarterback. And there's L.C. Greenwood right there in Pittsburgh, and Fran, he pulled up on that play that he threw to my left. It would have to be to my left. He pulled up short to throw the ball, and I was on the outside shoulder of LC, and he came on the end, but he missed it. I don't know if he blocked that pass or not. I think he did block that pass. I think he blocked 2 in that game because Fran didn't stay to the outside. The outside was to my right. So I was, I didn't expect him to pull up short because the whole season he ran to the sideline and he ran to my right. So I expected him to do the same thing in the game, and then he didn't. So it opened up the inside there for Elsie to jump up and possibly block the ball. If he had kept running to the right, like I thought he was going to do, it might have been a different play.
Yeah,
that's technical. The game gets. I can't see behind me. I have to feel behind me, and I feel where he is based upon where the defensive lineman is trying to get to him. Okay, so I'm reading the defensive lineman as you're blocking, as well as your assignment to hook him. So I hooked him, but then if you pull up short to my left and you throw over the guard, I could make it pretty rough because I'm opening up my inside to him.
Yeah, you're expecting the ball to be thrown out by the numbers, and he's thrown over the middle or whatever it was specifically on that play. And
pull short behind the guard rather than going behind me. That's 3 yards, 4 yards. And on that play, I remember that.
Well, you got to go to 4 Super Bowls, but when you first joined, you're the number 1 draft pick, and Bud Grant and his staff, they wanted to put you in right away, but you didn't get to play your first year a whole heck of a lot. You sat on the bench a little bit. What was that like for you?
Horrible. In fact, it wasn't fair. It wasn't right. I should have started the first day I walked on that field with the Vikings, and I think it was because Doug Davis was from Kentucky and John Michaels was from Tennessee. So they were local schools. And I think my offensive line coach had a responsibility for not putting me in because I should have. In fact, all the guys on the team came to me and says, I should be starting. Privately, they come to me, why aren't you starting? Okay. They would be in the locker room. Guys would say, I don't understand why you're not playing.
Well, tough times, obviously, but the team itself. Now, was Fran there when you first got there? He hadn't been traded to New York yet, had he?
Yeah, he was traded and he came back, I think, after our second year, after Joe Cap. When Joe went to New England, they traded for Francis. And Francis was a big addition to our team. Joe was great as well. They both were supreme. They were smart in getting the best quarterbacks you could get that were real active and mobile. They were both very good. Well, Joe, he was underrated. He was underrated as a quarterback. He was a great leader. And that's a quarterback's most important thing is to lead.
Yep.
Make the guys believe you're going to, the play's going to work. And Joe, he was amazing with that. Every time he got in the huddle, you knew we were going to make yards. He was a great leader.
Yeah.
A great leader. You look him in the eyes in the huddle and you knew he believed what he was saying.
A very unique individual. Yeah. I picked this one out on purpose. I'm going to give you a little bit of my background. My mother, who was from Rosemount, south of St. Paul, about 15 or 20 minutes, if that, little town when she was born of 296 in the 1930s when my mom was born. There were 312 in the 40s. So it had really grown, it expanded like crazy.
Yes.
But when I was a kid, I always learned about Minnesota. I love your road jerseys, that purple, gold, purple, shoulder stripe. It's so simple, but I just, to me, every time you look at the uniform, whether it's a sunny day or a cloudy day, it was a different shade. It sometimes looked really dark and black like navy, and other times it was really bright. I think I had a picture here. It's not even the same color. It is, but the way the sun is shining has a difference to it. What was it like for you being a bellflower guy, used to the warm weather, and then now you're going to go where most of the Arctic temperatures that America feels goes through the Minneapolis-St. Paul area? They're in Green Bay.
Never thought about it.
Really?
No, I didn't care anything about the weather, the terrain. It didn't make any difference to me. You know, it's both sides of the ball. You got to line up. So it was bad on my opponent as it was for myself. I didn't care what it was. You know, I didn't want to play in. There was only one game in my entire career in football that we played in. It was I forget where it was, but it had rained very heavily, and it dropped down to 28 degrees weather, and it was all water. So if you fell on the ground, you were in ice water. That was the only miserable game I ever played in. All the others were I mean, it's part of the game. But you're falling in ice water. So when you land on, so you didn't want to fall on the ground. So you stayed on your feet the whole game. But there was only one game that was I would consider difficult to play in, and that would be that one game where we had 2 inches of water on the field and it was 28 degrees.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Yeah. So that was it. Otherwise, it didn't bother me at all.
Well, the team became so good, Ron, that you had a lot of NFC Championship games that you played in, and the ones at home. I would imagine it's easy for you when you see the other team, the Rams or the Cowboys, come up from the cold weather, and their guys are shivering during warmups, and you're just running around. There had to have been a little bit of an advantage that you knew when you got back in the locker room before the game started. Oh, we got these guys. They're going to freeze. There's no way they're going to be able to play against us.
Nope, never thought that way, because if I was on the Rams, I wouldn't be thinking that way. If I was in 28 below zero, I would say it's cold for that guy. It's cold for me. It doesn't make any difference.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I never looked at weather or the environment to be a factor in my performance or in the performance of the team. It was basically no different. It's him versus myself and their defense versus our offense, man for man. And that was it. Didn't make any difference the weather, because it rains on both sides of the ball. It's also 110 on both sides of the field. Okay.
Yep.
So they have to deal with it just like I do. So it doesn't make any difference what it is. Just go out and play your game, and don't let the environment. You didn't even think about it. I was more concerned with the opponent than I would be with the water on the field, or the rain, or the snow, or the heat. It didn't change my focus. It was on on the player, not on the environment. It had nothing to do with it.
Well, here's one with you and Fran, and I believe this is in Super Bowl 8. Forgive me for not knowing right off the top of my head, but the group of guys, Ed White, there was Hilgenberg, there was some of the other offensive linemen that you were around. Were you real close with them, like you were with your SC buddies?
We were a close-knit team, yeah, but we had confidence in one another as well. Let me see, that was Francis, and that was Mick, and that was 66. God, who was that? I don't know who that was. But no, when I was on, I didn't want to let my teammates down, because I knew they were going to be doing the job. So why? And I didn't want to fail. Okay, let them down. So, and I know they felt the same way. When I looked at them, like I said, you're in the locker room, you're looking at them. You want them to know in that moment in time that you're there. So you look them in the eyes, and you look one another in the eyes, and we're showing up. There can be no doubt in your commitment to the game. No doubt. And we're in charge. We're in control.
Yeah.
I always had confidence when we went out on the field that we were going to win. I never doubted anybody I ever played against. Even in high school, we played against Loyola, and I sat on the bench. I was a sophomore. I wasn't playing, and I still thought we could win. I always had faith in my teammates. Or why show up?
Yeah. For those who don't know, Loyola, Servite, Mater Dei, some really great high school programs that even to this day are still fantastic that are part of the city of Los Angeles. Bob, you got anything?
Steve Grady, who
those guys
was a Loyola CIF Player of the Year, later became Ron's teammate at SC.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you another thing I forgot. I'm going to give you another little insight to this character, Ron. Okay. The Ronald Reagan Library contacted me, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, and they were putting a display of college football in the thing. And so they asked if about SC guys. They did SC UCLA. It was on display for like a year at the Ronald Reagan Library. And so I said, well, let me get Ron. Ron won the Morris Trophy. Was it the Morris Trophy you won, Ron?
No, it was the Outland.
The Outland Trophy. Now think about this. The Outland Trophy, for you people that don't know, is the Heisman Trophy for offensive linemen. Every year, the Outland, it's the most prestigious award a lineman can win, okay? So he won the Outland Trophy, and I said, Ron, now, if I won the Outland Trophy, it'd be on the hood of my car. You get it? So I said, Ron, do you have the Outland Trophy? He says, oh, I have to go in a storage facility and dig it out. So we put it on display there for a year, the Outland Trophy, but it was in his storage facility. I go, what the hell? Yeah, the Outland Trophy is in the storage facility, plus a lot of his other stuff. I couldn't believe it. But that's this guy. That's why I love him. He's the most.
So Bob, what you're telling me is that Ron had to pay about $50 a month to store some of his gear,
Absolutely
you will.
Correct.
And one of the things is an Outland Trophy. He didn't even know where it is. It's just in a
I thought that was
self-storage facility. Oh my
hilarious.
Gosh. Yeah. Ron, we interrupted you. You go right ahead. We're talking about Outland trophies, and you were going to talk about the good old days.
Well, and I think I played during the best time of football. It was I don't know what it's like today, but I think money has become the most valuable aspect of the game because the money is beyond real. It's almost beyond anyone's expectations of the money these players make, and they deserve it. If I'm not envious or jealous of it, but the game, that the amount of money they're handing out today has changed the nature of the game. We would play hurt. I went out and played hurt. Other guys would go out and play hurt. And today, if they're hurt, I don't know if they'll play. I wouldn't have a second guess about me playing hurt. Broken hand, broken foot, broken ankle. There was clean breaks too. But I was expected to go out, and today I don't think that's the way it is.
Hey, Ron, tell them about the Pro Bowl in your days that you played. Those guys played to win. For how much? What was the difference between winning and losing? They were out there kicking ass. Today they play flag football.
It was never really like the Super Bowl when you played in the Pro Bowl when I went to the Pro Bowls, but it was $750 if you lose and $1,500 if you won. In the Pro Bowl now it's $25,000 if you lose and $50,000 if you win or something like that. So that was, but that was, it was the honor. It was an honor to play in the Pro Bowl. So regardless of how much you got paid, you were expected to show up because it was more of a compliment and an honor given to you. So you played because of that, not because of the money.
Well, Ron, you're in Bloomington, Minnesota, with a rising franchise. What were your other favorite places to play? Is there any specific that you go, yeah, I know you're probably going to say, no, I just played wherever, but was there one place that, whether it be because where you stayed in town or you just enjoyed the food at the restaurant across the street, was there one in particular or a couple that you go, man, I really like this stadium and I really like it when we make their crowd quiet because we're winning?
All of the stadiums in the Central Division I enjoyed. They were all open stadiums. They weren't enclosed. We played in all the elements, no matter what the day was like. So I enjoyed all of the Central Division, Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit. I enjoyed all the stadiums they played in. And but as far as eating, we wouldn't go get our own food. We had to eat at training tables. We had to have dinner together. We had breakfast together. You were not allowed to go out of you could go outside of the hotel, but they didn't want you wandering around and going out at night. We had to be in bed by 9 o'clock. We had to be in our rooms by 9. And that was a rule that we had to meet. So I don't know if it's that way today. You're kind of implying that they can go out to dinner themselves. We never went out to dinner separate from the team. We always did everything when we traveled together as a team at all times.
Team dinner, but sometimes if I was in Philadelphia once, I said I don't care. I am gonna go get a cheesesteak because I'm in Philadelphia. I'm gonna bring it back to my hotel room and I'm gonna enjoy it there.
But you still ate with the team when they had a team meeting.
Absolutely, yeah. You have the team dinner, and then you'd start your special teams meetings right after that, and then you'd break off into teams. So not much change there. Now, one thing that has changed, you played in Wrigley Field, you played in Tiger Stadium, and if I'm not mistaken, you probably had a game or two in Milwaukee County. All three of those, you mentioned the Central Division. The sidelines were only on both teams shared the same sideline back in those days. Is that correct?
On a couple stadiums, yes.
Yeah.
But I never paid attention to that. I didn't know I never looked at the opponent.
Well, you did it in Bloomington. You had that. You were on the right field side, and the Rams or the Cowboys or the Steelers, if you're playing them, they were on the closer to the third base, second base side of the field.
Yeah, but I didn't pay any attention. I didn't even look at the team. I didn't care. That had nothing to do with me and my job. I was completely focused on what my duties were at that moment in time. My mind didn't run away. I didn't disappear. I was on my assignment, and my focus was on me and only me, not on anything else. It was what I was going to do when I got back out on the field. When I was sitting on the bench, drinking water or something, I was thinking about getting back out on in fact, I was in a hurry to get back out on the field because I can't win the game with the defense on the field. So I was always pressuring to get back out on the field because you're only going to win if the offense is on the field. The longer the offense is on the field, the better it's going to be for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of the team, it got better. 1970, you end up going to the Super Bowl. That was in Tulane, was it not?
Yes.
Tell me about your thoughts about that. First time for you. I mean, you played in the Rose Bowl. You won a national championship. Now you get a chance for an NFL championship, and the Kansas City Chiefs are in the way. But your experience there.
Kansas City had a great team. They deserved to win, but we didn't play very well in that game. Okay, and that is Willie Lanier making the tackle or the defensive tackle there. What was his name? God,
Buck Buchanan, Curly Culp. You mentioned Willie.
Yeah,
Buck Buchanan
and Buck Buchanan, both defensive tackles, were making the play on that on Dave Osborne. I can't remember the play, but we didn't offense let the team down. We didn't play well. In fact, I don't think our offense ever delivered what was expected in any of the Super Bowl games. Our defense played well, but our offense didn't play well enough to win the game. You can blame the offense on that.
You're in this photo, but this is really of Joe. I love this. This is, to me, old school football. When you stop to think about, people in the crowd had top hats. Men wore black string ties, black horn rim glasses. They would have those hats like at Dodger Stadium, the concession stands. It was really a different era, but this is kind of the last of the Mohicans in terms of that. You did score. You're off on the right on this one on the ground, unfortunately. But is that Dave Osborne? Is that Brown?
I think that's Dave. Yes, but yeah. I'm blocking down on a guy. I'm 73. I'm right there on the ground. Yeah, I blocked down it. I think the guy that's right above me is the guy who was cutting off.
Yeah.
down on the defensive tackle on that play.
Well, we mentioned a few of them: the Curly Culps, Willie Lanier, Fred Hacksaw Williamson, the Buck Buchanan's. What was it about their defense? A lot of HBCU players, but just guys that really got after it, and they were a menace for years. They only won that one Super Bowl. They went to the first. People keep forgetting that, Kansas City went to Super Bowl one. They lost, but they got to redeem themselves in number 4 here against you guys.
Well, let me point one thing out. My recollection again was we had plays we put in. We ran the whole year or work. Okay, so every time we go to the Super Bowl, the coaches would start coming up with these plays that we never used to run, and that we never used. They didn't have. It made the team feel like it didn't have confidence on us, so they changed all of our blocking assignments.
Oh boy,
for these plays, and you don't do that because I just disagreed. Let's just go the way we played the whole year with. Don't change our blocking assignments based upon the defense and the talent that you're going up against. I just disagree with that. Stay with what got us there, but our blocking assignments changed in the Super Bowl games, and they did.
I would imagine, and I'm not speaking for you. I'm just saying that we got here because we could run power and the counter and all the and when we stopped running it to have trick plays or stuff that we're not familiar with.
We had call a 435. That's where I would block down on the defensive tackle, and the right guard would step back and block out on the defensive end. We never ran that play in the game.
Wow.
They never even put that play in. It was a very good play. It opened a big hole, and we made lots of yard on that play. And we had 35 outsides, and that's where I would hook the defensive end, and they'd run out over my right hip. They never ran that play in the game. They changed everything. Double teams. They had me double teaming with the guard, and they had the tight end and the running back double teaming on the end, or running back double teaming on the defensive end. They changed a lot of our blocking assignments for the game, and they just let us go one-on-one, come off on the ball. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Just come off on the ball, roll off as hard as you can, get in on the guy, and then turn on him wherever you want to go once you made impact. That's just the way it is.
Do what you do. Here's from Super Bowl 8, obviously. This is at Rice Stadium. Again, I love these day Super Bowls when they play during the day and the shadows would come over a little bit later. Were you right behind Shula when there's that moment of awkwardness where I'm waiting for you and you're waiting for me? We're not going to look at each other and acknowledge each other right as they're doing the opening introductions. That was kind of uncomfortable, I would imagine.
No, I don't think I was behind Shula. That was Ed White and Bob Lertzma. And then they had a bunch of Bill Brown, Fred Cox.
Yep.
That was it. That was Bob Lertzma out there in front, and Eddie was right behind him. I don't know where I was in the picture. I was farther back.
A little further behind Don, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember that. And then who is that? That's 64. I don't know who that is.
Well, Gene Washington's got the ball in the middle. You're off on the right there.
Yeah, I can see that, but I think that was a defensive tackle there. I'm blocking on the. I think I was blocking the defensive end, or stepping down towards the inside linebacker. I don't know where that guy came from. He was not my guy. I can tell you that.
You said Vern Den Herter was one of the better defensive ends that you ever had to go against.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. He played really strong. He was really good defensive end. He never made the Pro Bowl or anything like that, but I thought he was really good. But that's not Vern Den Herter.
No. I'm trying to find.
I think that was Manny Hernandez, the defensive tackle for Miami. That's who that was.
Hey, Ron, who was the best? Is there anybody that you could single out and say it was the hardest defensive guy you had to go up against?
In the beginning, nobody. In the end, everybody. Okay, so I would have to say, if I were to pick Jack Youngblood would be because he was a hard working guy the whole game. The first play to the last play of the game, he was a hard working defensive end. I would put him in there. He was probably the best of all the defensive
unknown caller
linemen I ever played against. And after that, I didn't care, truthfully. Then Vern, I only played against him once, and I really respected him. He played hard, but that was in a Super Bowl game. So anyone else? I didn't care about any of the rest of the players.
We may not have gone against him a lot, but I'm going to throw out Ray Nitschke or Dick Butkus, Too Tall Jones. I'm throwing a couple of names out. Those guys obviously were Hall of Famers for their own reasons, and I imagine they weren't easy to play against on Sundays.
Well, I never played against Nitschke. He was on the field, but I never played against him. He was a middle linebacker. My assignment was never to block him. Okay, that's my point.
Sure.
And that goes for all of the guys that you just mentioned. I think I played against Ed Jones maybe once, but he didn't make any plays.
That's a good day for you. Real good day. All right. Got another Super Bowl for you. I'm going to bring this one up. All right. Another bad day. This is your first one. You're against the Steelers here.
Yeah.
I had two pictures here. This is the safety. Both squirts out of Fran's hands. Lambert ends up hitting him.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the question?
I don't know. I'm just, I'm not trying to bring up bad memories. I just, that's part of what happened that day.
Yeah, I don't remember the play. I can't see behind me.
Yeah.
There's L.C. Greenwood.
Yeah.
And Fran throwing the ball there. You showed that earlier.
Yeah.
Locking down on him, and I don't know. It's to my left, so that means that I was to the right of Francis, so he would have to roll out to me to get there. You followed me?
Yep.
So you pull up short, apparently, because I'm to the right. And normally, like I said, he throws either behind me or he'd roll out to the sideline. We didn't have anything where he pulled up over the guard. And that looks like I'm throwing to my left, and that's Ed White, our right guard, right there.
Yep.
So you pull up short, and I'm blocking him on his outside shoulder. I'm taking where you see that 8 on LC. That's where I would be attacking him on a play to his right, but he must have pulled up over our guard because there's Ed. He pulled up short. So I didn't anticipate him pulling up short. I thought he'd be throwing to my right.
Yeah, it looks like he throwing backside on that one.
Yeah, but he pulled up short. In other words, he pulled up in the gap. Right, if you see him behind the center there.
Oh, so I switched it. I'll go back. Go ahead.
No, put that one back. Put the other picture back. You see where the official is?
Yes.
Okay. That's where he would have to roll out, anywhere where the alignment with the official to the right. Okay. Here he's thrown behind a guard. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying that L.C. Greenwood is to my right, and here he's to my left over the guard. So he must have pulled up short, and I'm anticipating him being outside of me to my right. So that's what I see, but I don't know if he blocked that pass or not. I think he was doing that game. You see right here, this is a good example right here. You see the gap between the guard and me, and the official, where I'm out there 2 or 3 yards, and when he rolls out, he's supposed to roll out behind me. And if he pulls up short there's a big gap between Mick and me. And that's where I think LC slid down on that play because Francis pulled up short. Normally he runs to the sideline. It's called a 59. I don't, I have to feel where he is on the play. I don't have eyes in the back of my head.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be there for obvious reasons.
It's a 59. It's where you take the ball off the center and you roll out to the right, and you keep running towards the sideline.
Yeah.
Okay. And you throw the ball on the run. He did that all the time. He was a miracle when it came to that. He was excellent. He's a guy that, like, as I mentioned earlier, he could throw on the run.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks can't do that.
Yeah. He's amazing. All right, here we go. This is Pasadena. You played in a Rose Bowl when you were, 20 years old. Now you're in your 30s, and you get to go back out there again. This is against the Raiders. And I've heard you say, you know what, we had a better team than the Raiders. We just didn't play well that day.
Yeah, we never did in the Super Bowl. We never played as good as we could have. Who's got the ball there?
Oh, I'm sorry. That Dave Casper does. That's Dave.
Okay.
That's just a picture with the logo of the actual game itself. And so,
yeah, he just last year. He was a hell of a tight end, boy. He was a great one.
No kidding. Yeah,
guy.
One of the best.
Yeah.
I found a couple pics here. You and Matuzak had a busy day, didn't you?
Same as any other day.
Two different pictures right here. One, you're in his face mask a little bit, and then I think this is an extra point or a field goal attempt. Because
it's not on his face mask. It's on his throat, which is totally legal. I could punch. In those days, you could punch.
Yeah.
Punch a guy to his face and his throat. Okay? That's totally legal. Totally legal. Punching him in his throat, it's a good deal. That's a smart move. I don't have my hands on his face mask. It's under his face mask.
Under his face mask. Inside of it. Yep.
Get back on. It's under his face mask. I'm not grabbing his face mask. I'm punching him in his throat. I would use my fist and punch guys to keep him off me. It's totally legal.
There's you and twos again.
Okay. Francis is handing off.
Yep.
He's outside of me. I don't know what play that was. Might have been probably a draw.
Yeah.
What we call a 99 and 98. And 99 was to the right, a draw to the right, and 98 was a draw play to the left. So that looks like that was a 98.
Probably a 98. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you, my next photo here is you with some of the old guys, but every one of them has a strikingly beautiful gold jacket with them.
Yep. That was a few years back. I don't know where that was, but Paul Krause and Carl and Gary Zimmerman. There's one of probably the best offensive linemen ever, Gary Zimmerman right there. He was great. And Randall McDaniel right there. I didn't watch Randall too much, but I watched Gary. He was probably the most underrated offensive lineman in the history of the NFL. That guy was off the charts. Good.
Well, I took a little trip down memory lane with you. I hope you don't mind me doing that. If you want to talk a little bit about, the induction itself, I did get one, what that meant to you and be able to share. I think you have a limitation on how much time that you've got. I would imagine that most guys would love to talk for another 10 or 15 minutes, but to try to summarize the people that helped you get to the level that you were able to achieve and your ability to thank them and let them know how much you appreciate and are grateful to their contribution to your life. Was that an important moment for you?
Well, of course, that was from the first day you walk on a football field to the day of your last moment on the field. I owe everything to my teammates and my coaches. They inspired me to play up to my God-given ability, and that's because you don't want to let your teammates down. You look at your guys, and you don't want to get defeated because of your effort. So that's what's great about football. It's a team effort, and at the best description of it, because everybody is interdependent on everybody else. 10 guys could do a great job, and it takes one guy to mess up the whole play. That's why it's so important that all of you work as a system. It's your success and failure is dependent upon team, not upon individual. I mean, they make it, the running back runs for 40 yards, he makes all these great runs and all that, but still, it's a team that got him there. So I don't know what else how I can express it, but if my teammate made a great play, I was happier for him than I was for myself. I always wanted I admired my teammates. And the reason if I was any good, it was because of them, not because of me. It was them. They are the ones that led me and inspired me. Carl Eller and Alan Page and especially Jim Marshall and Gary Larson and Lee Warwick. And those are the guys. I played for them. I didn't play for the coaches. I didn't play for the owners. I played for my teammates.
Sure. You mentioned Francis. We talked about Joe. Mick Tingelhoff, for example. Stu Voigt, some of the great guys. Chuck Foreman that you were teammates with. Gene Washington, Ahmad Rashad, Sammy White. Just to name a couple,
On and on and on.
Yeah.
And, that's one of probably the most important aspect of the game of football. It's a team. It's a team sport, and it's a rugged sport. And that's why I liked it. I liked it because it was rugged. I liked there was one game it was against the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Francis threw a pass on the sidelines, and it was intercepted. And I went over to the sidelines to cut off the linebacker so he didn't score a touchdown. And when I turned to my left to come back, I got hit by a defensive tackle, and I experienced astral projection. And what that is, it's when your soul, it gets knocked outside of your body. So you're like you're suspended up above. And I was looking down on myself, watching this whole block take place. And and I had tingling in my tips of my fingers and down on my legs. And I got up out. That's the only time I ever recall being knocked off my feet. And I looked up at the guy, and his name was Dawson, and his jaw was open, and it was like he was stunned. It was such a good impact.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, "Great block." Okay. And I got up, and I couldn't find out where I was. I didn't know where I was, and I couldn't find the huddle. So they fumbled the ball a couple plays later. It was an interception, and they fumbled the ball a couple plays later, and I went back out on the field, and I couldn't find our huddle. I didn't know where our huddle was, and I lined up in the defense of the St. Louis Cardinals defensive huddle on the field, and they started laughing at me, and they said, "Yary, what are you doing in here?" And I said, "Oh God, where's my offensive huddle?" And I had to turn around. I really had to focus on to find the huddle, and I finally found it. I honestly didn't know where it was. That's the truth. So I got in the huddle, and then we called a play. And the next play, and I remember blocking down on the defensive tackle, and I got kicked in the head. And from that point on, I don't remember any part about that game.
Yeah.
It just disappeared on me.
Wow.
But I played, and I watched the films. And the next day, we go and we watch film. I played a good second half. After that happened, I didn't miss any blocks. I did my assignments very well. So I was satisfied with it, but I think we lost the game. But I played just as good, knocked out of my wits as I did when I was aware of everything. That shows you how programmed you are as a player. You have to be programmed. This is it goes beyond. It's hard to describe that, but it goes beyond talk. It's something that's very innate with you. It touches your soul, and it becomes part of your actual being, your existence. To get the job done, it means everything. It's that important. It's what makes you what you are. And when your teammates count on you, you do not want to let them down in any respect. So that's the great part about the game.
Yeah, bad suspension helmets, a knee or something like that to the head, and next thing you know, I can't remember anything. But you you got through it, didn't you, Ron?
Made
You
it
do
through.
the best you can with what you got, even though it's only a pea-sized brain. You know that there's another play, and you got to get ready for the next one.
Hey
Yeah.
Harper, think about this. I've known this guy since '65. That's the first time I ever heard that story. That's why these things are great. I never ever heard that story, and I'm going to
Wow.
remember it.
Yeah, it's that's what. Yeah, I actually like that. I enjoyed that, getting knocked out like that. Truthfully, I thought it was great. I was impressed with how well Dawson got me under the jaw. I was impressed with it. That's why I told him it's a great block, and it's the only time I was ever knocked off my feet in my life.
Wow.
Literally knocked on my ass.
Yeah.
I didn't think you ever were. That's unbelievable.
I got not well. I didn't see it coming. I was moving to my left and looking at my right, and he got me under the jaw, and I didn't expect him to do that.
What was the guy's name again?
Dawson.
Yeah.
It's a
What was
tackle
it?
for St. Louis. Dawson, Dawson.
We'll have to go look him up, Bob, here after the show's over to figure out who was on the roster back in those days. One of the things that I used to love that is slowly disappearing is the dirty uniform. Playoff games in Bloomington. I went to the game. The first pro game I ever went to was in Los Angeles when it rained cats and dogs.
1977.
Nobody could recognize your jersey were it not for the yellow outline around your 7 and your 3. That was the only way you could identify some of the players. I have a hard time thinking how they could even announce that game, but getting dirty, a little bit of blood here and there. Now they play on sport turf, Ron, and they don't get dirty at all. You don't even have to wash the uniform except to get the smell out.
Well said. Yes, I like playing in the different elements. I like playing in rainy weather and cold weather during the season. I like the changing of the seasons in Minnesota. It was a great place to play football, and it didn't, it didn't bother me a bit. I enjoyed it. I was glad to play under those different elements. The other guys, I never heard anybody complain. I've never heard a Viking player ever complain about the weather ever.
Right. Well, you take advantage of it, right? Or it takes advantage of you. You can do it either way.
There's no advantage. There's no advantage. It's on both sides of the field. I mean, we're both in the same weather and conditions. I'm on offense. They're on defense. We're on defense. They're on offense. It's the same. The conditions are the same for both sides of the ball. There's no advantage to either team. That's what's great about football.
Well, after 14 years in Minnesota and an additional one in Los Angeles, it's time to hang them up. Was that your decision, or was there a coach that said, I'm going to tap you on the shoulder and ask you to turn in your playbook? Tell me how that went.
It was my last year was with the Rams. It was a strike season, so they only had 8 games. And the Rams had great talent. They had great football players on that team. And they only won, I think, 3 games during the season, and they lost 5. And so that season kind of gave me the insight that my career was over with. Okay, so I knew that was my last season in football. I wasn't starting on the team. They had Jackie Slater, who I consider one of the best offensive tackles in football. He's probably the most underrated offensive lineman ever that existed in football. He was a great tackle, not a good tackle. He was a great tackle. And then on the other side of the line, it was Marv Bain, and he's an SC guy. I didn't think much of Marv. He was good. He was nothing in the same category as Jackie Slater. So they could have moved me to left tackle, but I was 36 years old. And I guess they brought me in as a backup in case somebody got hurt. And that's the way my season ended. My career ended.
What some guys don't know what to do with the rest of their life once something is taken away from them. What was it like for you, the transition from having a set schedule from August up and until basically New Year's. That part was taken by football. What was it like for you?
I was ready for it to end after the Rams season there with 8 games and playing on that team. There was a lot of, I respected my coaches my whole life, and there was a lot of. I never ran into that before. A lot of guys talking about the team and the coaches and things like that I didn't like to hear. So my career ended, and I was happy it was over. I ended my career the way it should be ended, where you're unhappy with the owners. The players didn't like the owners. Georgia, they made fun of the situation there. Kind of made it clear to me that it's over. I didn't want to come back anyway. And at 36 years old, you have no shot. You're too old to be considered as someone that's going to add longevity to the team. Every year is going to be a new one, and I don't think football teams look that way.
There are some guys that start their career when they're done while they're still playing. They invest some time and work on their business aspirations afterwards. What was it for you once football was over? What am I going to do the rest of my life? What did Ron Yary's decision look like?
Well, I went into business with my brother about 5 or 6 years before then. So we had a school picture photography business that we were involved in. We were doing, at that time, probably 600 schools in the state of California, probably half the schools in the state of California. And we were in Minnesota, we were in New York, New Jersey. We had a lot of school pictures we were doing. So I had a business I was involved in the office. I had something to do.
Yeah.
And it was in school pictures. So I was in sales. So I had something to keep my mind busy. And it was a business. So I had to make sure that it didn't fail. I didn't want to go upside down.
And then you start a family, Jack, and then Grant, who was helping us today before we went on the air. Obviously, that important part of your life as well.
Yes, it is. I have got my great kids. I have 2 boys and my daughter. They're all studs. I mean, Jack is a specimen.
Tell them about Kinley's tennis.
Yeah, yep. She's the coach wants her to go, and he thinks she could be a pro. She's 14 years old, and he said he defined her as a gifted athlete. What do they call those? The word escapes me at this moment. A phenomenal athlete. He describes that type of a tennis player.
Okay.
Tell her where she's going, Ron. Tell her where she's going.
She could be a what do they? I forget the name. But anyway, she's off the chart.
Savant? Is she a savant?
No, that's different than the physical. I'm talking about physical abilities. Savant's mental.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, he describes her as that, and she might be going to a school in Florida next year where it's a tennis school.
Yep.
But they have classes, so she'll be going full time to a school in Florida because she's so gifted as a tennis player. He thinks she can.
They all go now. Are you going to have to get a condo in Boca Vista somewhere near where Seinfeld is, just so you can stay close to your daughter?
I'm not that rich. I don't have that. No, she'll go to school there and stay on campus, and then we'll fly in to visit her when we can. So that's what the plan is. So that's my daughter, and then I got Grant here, my middle son. He's going to be at Citrus College playing football, a running back, and then we have my oldest son Jack, and that's it.
Well done, I think is what anyone would want to say, Ron.
Jack was a better football player than I was. This guy was big time athlete. So he could have been.
Well, you did it well. Greatly appreciate it. Bob, I know you got a couple of comments before we head out here today.
Well, number one, I Harper, going through these, you do this so well that, I mean, I that story about Ron being knocked down, I had never heard in my life. I mean, when you get stuff like, a guy since 1965, I had never heard that story. And we talk, believe me, for hours sometimes. And I never heard that story. So that's something I'm going to remember and take with me. And I enjoy both of you. And I want Harper to be over here to sign my door. So get over here, Harper.
Yeah. Well, I need to work on that, but I don't know if there's any room left. Ron, you've taken over a little bit of square footage there, haven't you, on Bob's Wall of Fame?
Probably 12 inches by 12 inches, maybe 8 by 12. This is my signature is about it. There's a lot. He's got a lot there. As you look behind him right now, Bob has a lot of history behind him in that his office.
I know it's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And you'll spend
well, how about this? I've been looking at a lot of history for the last hour and a half, and that's great.
Yeah, but what Bob has there should go into the museum. It's really something special there. When you go in there, there's a lot of history that Bob has behind him. More than that wall.
I don't know if he has this picture, but sums it up. A great career, fantastic life that you've had the great privilege. 15 years with the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams, 3 years with the USC Trojans, a national championship, 7 Pro Bowls. You're on the All 70s or the NFL All-Decade team from the 70s. You're in the Ring of Honor with the Minnesota Vikings, one of the greatest players there. And Bob, what was it? 18 different Hall of Fames, including the National.
Oh my God! How about if Cerrito? My friend Todd Hewitt, who was the equipment manager for the Rams for years, and his dad Don Hewitt was he's the equipment manager for Cerritos now, as well as an XFL team, the St. Louis Battlehawks. And he says that in the locker room at Cerritos, there's a huge mural of Ron Yary. It's Cerritos Junior College. He was there 1 year.
Geez, I didn't know that.
It's in the lot. He sent me a picture of it. There's a huge picture of you in the locker room.
I need to donate money to the football team there. A lot.
Well, save some of it for your daughter's tennis education. We got to make sure that she gets taken care of too.
Yes, don't worry. They'll be provided for.
She'll find a way to spend it, I would imagine. I hope on new rackets and gear and
rackets are $3 an hour.
And your food budget too. I would imagine that is always being tapped. You spend $200 at the grocery store, and by the time it's they're ready for you to have dinner, there's no food left.
But Harper, I left this out. Besides being a great tennis player, she is a beautiful, classy young chick, which is why Ron has to continue to go to the gyms.
Yes.
To protect her. And I told him that because, it's too far for me to drive down there, but this girl's gorgeous and beautiful and classy and really nice.
Let me just say this. She could whip my what. This girl, you cannot believe how strong Kinley is. She's a beast. I mean it. She could whip me. If I got into a fight with her, she'd kick my what. I mean it. She's only 14. She's stronger than I cannot believe how strong she is.
And Harper, his wife Jamie, let me tell you, is not too hard on the eyes either. I'll tell you that. A lot younger than Ron, but what a knockout! And they have a beautiful family, and
Well, I'm hoping that your daughter gives a good enough punch to knock Matuzak down, like what you learned to do.
My daughter should go into boxing. She'd be a great boxer. She's a beast, I swear. I've never seen anything like her. Even her coaches cannot believe how strong and talented she is. They said she's going to be, I don't know what it is, a phenom, basically.
Yeah.
She's an animal, man. She is. I'm telling you, I cannot believe her. She can whip all three of us.
I don't want to tempt that because I know what happens when Ron Yary gets knocked down. Dawson says you can't remember anything for the rest of the game, and I don't have enough brain cells left to have that happen for me. And Bob is he's too cute. He doesn't want to get knocked down either, but we'll work that out one day. Ron, we've taken a lot of your time. I want to be as respectful of it as I possibly can, and we'd love to have you back on. There's probably a few stories that Bob hasn't heard, and I certainly haven't. So we'd love to extend that invitation to you.
I think maybe I could help you in the future if you have a player that's in the Hall of Fame. I think I might be able to reach out and talk to them and ask them to be on your show. Okay, I can't guarantee anything, but if you have a specific player that's in the Hall of Fame, I could call the Hall and I could ask them to give me their number. And they'll probably tell me no now because I made this public.
Don't tell anyone. We got to keep it a secret just for us.
But I would be willing to call a player and see if you'd like to interview him or be on the show.
Well, thank you. Bob, I know a special honor for you, not only as a friend, but a guy that really touched your heart and a relationship that was developed from decades ago. And I want to thank you personally for inviting Ron on. What an amazing guest. And we know there'll be others, not only from the University of Southern California, but all over, the folks that you know. And for you to share Ron with us today, that's certainly an honor that we definitely want to acknowledge here today.
Yeah, Harper, let me just tell you this. In this life, which is why I gravitate to my German Shepherds, most people, let's be really honest, you don't make you kind of embarrassed that you're a human being. But for when I see a Ron Yary, I'm proud to be a part of this race. And the same with you, Harper. You guys are two class acts, and I'm honored to be as a part of this. So thank you, guys.
Feel the same about you, Bob. You're a great leader as well for me. If I need insight, Bob straightens me out. You do, Bob.
Thank you.
He's got the connections too, doesn't he, Ron?
Bob knows too much. He knows more than most people will ever dream of knowing. You ask him about anything to do with sports, and he's a dead center. He's amazing.
No, well put. I mean it sincerely. Bob knows too much. He knows more than we would ever need to know, and then some on top of that.
And more than what you need to know, even. And it's all good. It's all good. There's nothing bad about that. It's all good.
Well, we appreciate both of you being on, and I want to make sure that I mention an important part of our show is understanding simple things like how important recruiting is and getting the right people to work with you and for you. ZipRecruiter can help you find the great candidates, the ones that you're looking to hire. And sometimes it's like finding a needle in a haystack, but you can make the right decision and they will help you do that. If you've got a lot of resumes and you're not enough of the right candidates, they will help you find the people that have the experience that are going to help you and your company to get better. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates and they do it fast. All you need to do is get a hold of ZipRecruiter.com/audio to allow that to be a difference maker for you. They have great technology that helps you identify the right people for the right role. And they also have a feature that allows you to invite people to apply specifically for the job that you would want them to apply for. So ZipRecruiter.com, you can ditch the other guys, go with ZipRecruiter.com/audio, AUDIO. That's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. It is the smart way to hire. Well, Bob, thank you so much again for producing a show that people can tune in and they can find out a story that 20 years later, you still haven't heard it until today. So appreciate you doing that. And Ron, obviously, with all the accolades, your Hall of Fame inductions, your fantastic career, your great family, it was wonderful to have you on the show here today. So once again, I want to thank both of you. And folks that you're watching here, just want to say thank you for tuning in. This has been the Sports Page with Bob Case, a part of the 100 Yards of Football Network. And Bob, Ron, and myself, Harper LaBelle, are greatly appreciative for all of you tuning in and being a part of it. So we want to say thank you to everybody. We hope you have a fantastic